Hello, I am Cy, the IT guy Williams of Team Logic IT of Orlando. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the coronavirus and what you can do to protect your employees, protect your customers, and protect your business from the potential impact of this pandemic. I'm going to cover several things. I'm going to cover, kind of what a pandemic is, a few phases of the pandemic. I'm going to talk about some of the past pandemics that have impacted, just so we can get some perspective on this one. We're going to talk about crisis management. Many of my enterprise clients in the past had crisis management plan. Many of my small to medium sized business clients don't. So I think this message is really geared toward those who don't have those plans in place. So you begin thinking about what you should be doing to prepare. We're going to talk about infectious disease protocols. That's just simply, what some of the local authorities may do or may cause to happen that could impact your business. You need to be aware of those things so that you can incorporate that into your planning. And then I had a team that did some brainstorming and some ideas, and I have a list of those ideas that I'm going to run through. And we'll run through those ideas, and maybe you can use some of those ideas in your preparation and planning. So let's talk about the phases of the pandemic. The World Health Organization hasn't officially called this a global pandemic, but it does appear to be demonstrating some characteristics of what's called a phase 6 pandemic. In phase 6 is the highest phase as defined by the World Health Organization, in which there are community level outbreaks of this disease in multiple countries. We heard about northern Italy, all the outbreaks that have occurred there. And we're starting to have some community level outbreaks in California. So a community level outbreak is simply people are starting to get infected by this disease that were not maybe in the initial hotspot where the disease started. And local authorities are having difficulty trying to figure out how those people actually got that disease. That's appeared to be the phase we're in Northern California and certainly in Italy. If we look at where there are confirmed infections worldwide, this chart is kind of all the countries where there's actually been confirmed coronaviruses. So some of the past pandemics I've shown on this particular chart, but the one I really want to point out is there's some similarities in terms of mortality rate with the Spanish flu. In the Spanish flu, which happened in 1918, right around the end of World War I, the mortality rate for the Spanish flu was 2 to 3%. Estimates are that 20 to 50 million people worldwide died as a result of the Spanish flu. Now, based on what we know about the coronavirus today, based on the mortality rate, primarily what has occurred in China, the mortality rate appears to be 2 to 3%. So half of the world's population, or even just half of your country's population, 2 to 3% mortality rate, those numbers get pretty big. So what are the symptoms of the virus? These are the symptoms of the virus. The interesting thing is, though, somebody could be asymptomatic but still infect other people. That's kind of part of the danger. You may not know that you're actually carrying this disease or that you're in an infectious state. Now, most of the people that will get this, they won't die. Obviously, there's only a 2 to 3% mortality rate. 80% of the people that get it will just have some mild symptoms. And most of us, have gone into work with mild cold-like symptoms. But in this particular case, you may want to get a little more aggressive with your employees if they begin to experience some of these symptoms, even if they're mild, that they kind of stay home, and when you get them a little more aggressive at checking this stuff out, because they could be asymptomatic, they could be a carrier, they could infect everyone else. Okay, so the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to deal with this? Some of my enterprise clients I mentioned, they've had crisis management plans, and these are some of the typical things you may see in a crisis management plan: how you deal with bomb threats, how you deal with terrorists, fires, active shooters. A lot of the schools actually do active shooter drills, but not many people have actually put in place what to do with infectious disease. Okay, and that's why we're having this conversation here. What should you do? So the scope of a typical crisis management plan would include the roles and responsibilities, who's responsible for communicating. You'll have contact lists in there. You'll know who the who the authorities are. You've already made those contacts and know how to engage and coordinate your incident response with the local authorities. You already know how to communicate to your clients. You would have defined what your communication strategy is with the media. And you'll have all the phone numbers in one place for all your team members so you can effectively communicate with your team so you can continue smooth operations. So some of the steps from a crisis management standpoint is simple. You should have a plan. You want to assign a spokesperson. You want to be able to speak with one voice, whether it's to the media. You want to keep your employees informed. That's going to be critically important if you want to maintain smooth operations. You want to be open and honest. Your employees need to feel like they're a part of this, that they're getting the facts, because again, employees will recognize that if they get affected, they may impact their loved ones, and we want to minimize that impact. You want to communicate with your customers and suppliers. You may decide on some things to limit, certain people entering your facilities or certain deliveries even. If those are some of the things you want to do, you want to make sure you're properly communicated that to your suppliers. Update people often and early. Don't leave people guessing. Reduce the amount of rumors by keeping people informed. Maybe even scheduling a regular scheduled update, so people will know what to expect. And use social media to communicate. Okay, so what happens if there's what's called a community outbreak here? There's going to be more demands for people to stay home. As a matter of fact, if you want to avoid some outbreaks in your specific office, then you want to begin directing employees, if they feel some of these symptoms, that they should stay home, right? But if there's a community outbreak here, there will be requests for staying at home. It's not likely that we will take the draconian measures that the Chinese government took, and so it's going to be critically important that people have personal responsibility and folks are doing the right thing to avoid impacting the community at large. Family members will likely be quarantined. If somebody in the family gets this virus, then the whole family is going to end up being quarantined. They're going to be stuck in. So we should expect that there could be a run. You already can't find any N95 mask anywhere. Many people have already purchased those things, and it's not likely you'll be able to find them if you don't already have them. The surgical mask that many people will use won't necessarily protect you against the virus itself. It really is there to protect other people from your coughs and things of that nature. Schools could be closed. If schools are going to be closed, then some of your employees might be impacted by that because they'll have children at home that they will need to be home with them. Another reason why it might be useful if your business can do that for enabling a little more work from home. Businesses may be closed, especially if your business ends up being a spot where it's been recognized that maybe multiple infections have occurred, then your business could be shut down as a result of that. There's no known human immunities. There's no treatment. There's no vaccines, for this particular virus. If you get it, you let it run its course. So here's some of the ideas. Develop guidelines for employees to stay from home. If they experience some of the symptoms, maybe you want those employees to get more aggressive and not come into work that day, right, until they can verify what's really going on with those symptoms. Provide more hand sanitizers. Maybe close to places where people touch a lot, you provide sanitizers. Conduct employee awareness and health fairs so employees kind of know what to expect and know how to protect themselves and their family and your business, for that matter. Maybe even increase janitorial services. Maybe do a little more cleaning of some of the commonly touched surfaces like doorknobs and things of that nature. And upgrade your networks to enable more VPN access so people can work from home. That's something we can actually help you with. If you need to install more VPN services and update your networks and things of that nature. Reduce employees' use of public transportation, but minimize employee attendances at conferences, things of that nature that you can do. Okay, we talked about working from home. Use more net meetings and WebExes and Zoom and Skype and all those types of things to meet instead of meeting in person. Okay, and we talked about working from home. You may have to think about how you guarantee or give people more sick leave, more pay to be away. as opposed to because you don't want them to you don't want them to be motivated to come in and infect everyone else just because they weren't going to get paid. That's kind of the wrong thing to do. And dual data center environments. Some clients, maybe you have a place where you're backing up your data either to a different data center. Thermal cameras. Maybe it would be useful to have these thermal cameras so you can know whether somebody walks in your office with a fever. You don't have to depend on the honor system. Maybe you can use a thermal camera to find out if that person has a fever and direct them somewhere else. So anyway, those are some of the ideas. I'm beside the IT guy Williams of Team Logic IT of Orlando. If you need help with any of your IT services, if you need help increasing your VPN, growing your work from home, we can help. You can reach me at 407-333-0293. That's 407-333-0293. Thank you.